Our story this week is Joseph tests his brothers from Genesis 43 and 44. Joseph at this point was now in Egypt. He had become the ruler. God had used a dream to give him power in Egypt, and he had gotten ready for the famine that was going to hit pretty much that whole known spot of the world. The famine also hit in Canaan, where Joseph's brothers were. And so the brothers, they knew they needed to get food from somewhere, and Egypt had it. So they had headed, and they went to get food. And when they showed up, lo and behold, there was Joseph. But they didn't recognize Joseph. Joseph had left kind of as a young man. Now he was all decorated as an Egyptian ruler, and they usually had all kinds of garments and all kinds of makeup, so they didn't know it was him. But he recognized them. They were already adults when he left them. He knew them, but he pretended that he didn't. And he asked them where they came from. And they said they came from Canaan to buy food, and he was testing them. He said, "No, you are spies." And they said, No, we are 12 brothers. The youngest is with his father. And then he came up with this idea to keep connected to them. He said, "One of you must stay in prison, and you can bring the grain home. But when you return, if you return again, you must bring your youngest brother to show that your story was true." Reuben they talked to themselves, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother." So it was still nagging at their conscience after like these 20 years. And Reuben, the oldest, said, "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy?" They could feel something was going on. But Joseph could understand them. They thought they were talking in a language that Joseph didn't know, but he had been raised there. Even though he was talking in Egyptian when he talked to them, he knew what they were saying. He was listening to them and seeing if they had changed at all. Joseph had a plot. He told his steward, "Fill their bags with the grain that they had bought, but put each man's silver in his sack along with all the provisions," giving them their money back. So they headed out from Canaan, back to Canaan from Egypt, and when they got home, they discovered the silver in the sack, and they told their father about everything that happened and how they got the silver back and how they had to leave one of their brothers there, and how if we go back again, we'll have to bring Benjamin, the youngest one. Now remember, Benjamin, he had been born to the same mother that Joseph had, so that was his full-fledged brother and the youngest one of all. But, Jacob said, "I will never let Benjamin go with you to Egypt." That was the plan, but the famine, it lasted for 7 years, and it was tough. And so finally Jacob, to save his family, had to say, "Go back and go get the grain." And Judah, who had originally been really cruel to Joseph, said, "But we can't go without Benjamin, but I will guarantee his safety." So Judah really switched and changed at this point. So now, with the famine going on, they all headed back, but this time with Benjamin, and they went back and they again stood before Joseph. Now Joseph tested them. And he said, "Take these men to my house and prepare dinner." He had a different idea. They're going to have a big feast together. He saw the youngest brother, his full-fledged brother, and he cried. He had to kind of cover himself up. But the brothers, they didn't know. We're having a meal. What's he going to do to us? Is this the trick? Now, the brothers, they talked to the steward. They said, "Please, sir, last time we found our silver, we've brought it back, and we brought more silver to buy food." They were trying to be honest and get out of this trouble because they didn't know what the steward knew. But the steward said, "Do not worry. The God of your fathers has given you the treasure in your sacks. I received the silver, and here's your brother Simeon." So the brother was returned, and everything looked good. Joseph asked them about their aged father. Of course, they might have thought he was, testing them. But he really was curious about how his father was doing. Was he still alive? He wanted to see him. And they told him, "He's doing well." And again, Joseph saw his younger brother, and he began to cry. Now, Joseph showed he knew something, because even though these guys were all adults, when he sat them for the feast, he sat them all down in age order, from Reuben all the way down to Benjamin. And Benjamin probably was noticeably the youngest, and he received 5 times. His plate was 5 times as full as everybody else's plate. He must have wondered what was up. They had this great feast, and then he sent them away. And then he told his steward this, "Fill their sacks with food and put their silver back in, just like last time, but take my silver cup and put it in the sack of the youngest one." So that's what they did, and they left with all the silver and with that silver cup in in the sack for Benjamin, but they didn't get very far, because Joseph right away, he told the steward, go after them and ask, why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this my master's cup? So he was supposed to go find this cup, and he would pull him back, and then Joseph had this plan. And so the steward came and stopped him. What have you done? Searched their bags. And even though the brothers said, we didn't take anything, the cup was found in Benjamin's. And now they said, we're going to take Benjamin, he's going to get punished. When they were brought back, Joseph saw that they had grown. Judah, who had been so terrible to Joseph, now defended his youngest brothers. I will take Benjamin's place for my father's sake. Wow, what a turnaround. He had really grown from being a cruel, mean older brother to now someone who actually would stand and give up his life for his youngest brother. And that's when Joseph revealed. They had passed the test. I'm your brother Joseph. They had a hard time believing it. He said, yes, I really am your brother, but don't be afraid. They must have thought, man, he's going to kill us. He explained how God used their sin for good. He sent me here to keep our families alive. It was all part of God's plan. Joseph had a God perspective. He trusted in the coming Messiah, how God would take care of everybody. And now this was a little idea how God puts everything together for our good. So he said, go to our father and tell him I'm a ruler in Egypt. I want all of you to come here so I can take care of you. You don't have to travel for food, but you can get it. So he came over and he hugged his younger brother Benjamin, but he hugged all of them. It was a great family reunion, and he forgave them. Joseph forgave them, knowing that he was forgiven by the future coming Messiah. He had forgiveness to share, even to his cruel, mean brothers who had done something, wanted to kill him and sold him as a slave. He gave them all gifts, and he got carts, and he sent them off to go back to get their father. And sure enough, they told Dad that he was alive, and he was excited. I need to go see him. And so they all got together, and they went back, and they were reunited. That's how God's plan and his mercy and forgiveness is shown in Joseph Tests His Brothers, from Genesis 43 and 44.